All right, looks like it worked. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out to our first Jupyterhub Binder team meeting that is taking place another time. So thanks for being here. And we will, so just a reminder, it's a small group today, so we may not have to worry about this too much, but we're trying out the speaking queue thing, which is if someone else is talking, you can, if you have something you want to say or a question for that speaker, instead of interrupting people, just to kind of control traffic and time box the conversation, just add yourself to the section in the agenda that's titled speaking queue. Just add your name, and I will, after that person's done presenting or talking, look at that speaking queue and call on people in order in which their names appear on that. And then at the end of each topic, we'll go ahead and clear that queue and start over. So it's just a way to kind of control traffic in speaking. So yeah. All right, so with that, let's do quick updates from people. Right now it just has Min on there, but so Min, you want to start us off? If it doesn't wake up Hugo, if you'd rather me just read it, you can give me a thumbs up.
No, that's fine. It's quiet right now. The main thing that I've got is getting Jupyterhub 1 out the door. We just put out another beta a couple days ago, and it seems to be going pretty well. So I think that's after we deploy it to mybinder.org to see that'll stress test it a little bit. But if that goes reasonably well, I think we can push it out. And then I guess my only other thing is that because of this guy, I'll be a little bit less on the project for a while. So I'll be working just a couple days a week and trying to, after Jupyter 1.0, I'll try to be focusing more on kind of feedback and review stuff rather than writing code mostly.
Great. Who would like to go next? Just go ahead and jump in. Tim.
Yeah, so quick update. We are trying to grow the team of people who help operate mybinder.org. So we're still trying to figure out how to do that. But we already have one new person who joined. So Sarah, who's on the call as well, she made a first deploy at the start of this week, and she got the whole experience of deploying something and then reverting it and then deploying it again. And nobody who was using mybinder.org noticed. So that was great. I mean, they noticed when it worked. They didn't notice that it didn't work first time around. And that was great. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sarah, you wanna give us your update then?
Sorry, what's that mean?
Just say what you've been working on. I guess Tim already gave you a little bit of a segue, but if you'd like to give us a short update, you can.
Yeah, so with regards to mybinder.org, it was just getting used to how you make rolling deployments and such. I was looking into auto-scaling for the BinderHub at the Turing yesterday, which looks like it's going to be interesting, as I think the docs suggest multiple node pools, which isn't supported in Azure yet. So like I'm thinking over workarounds for that. So that's basically what I'm working on in a minute.
Great. Anyone else want to jump in? Go ahead.
Hi everyone, so I'm CL, met some of you on the, Twitter I think, and I met Tim in person in London a while ago. Quick update, I've been playing with Kind, sort of like a lightweight Minikube thing. I opened an issue on V2JH about using it as a development environment, and I'm able to get it working within 5 minutes to get a whole environment set up. So I think it would be good to recommend people to test using that for development and also CI maybe, that we can maybe have a more comprehensive matrix of Kubernetes version that we test against, even with like unreleased version, make sure that nothing breaks. So that's something I want to work on as well. And quick shout out to like, thanks for like doing the alternating hours thing. I know it's difficult for people in the West Coast. And yeah, thank you.
No, that was an awesome idea. Thanks for suggesting it. We need to figure out something like this for our community calls as well. Joe, do you have anything?
Yep. Sure. Can you hear me? I'm not muted, am I? Okay, good. Yeah, so I've been working on the Pangeo project with kind of multiple continuous deployment workflows, both for our BinderHub that we run and for, we're using UV's Hubploy for 6 different Jupyter hubs running on AWS and Google Cloud. So we're kind of in this like big DevOps stage where we're getting things kind of working all swimmingly. So that's been a lot of what I've been up to.
Great. Awesome. Well, so nothing's listed under the reports and celebrations section. Does anybody have anything off the cuff that they'd like to add to that? Or if not, we can go straight into the agenda. All right. So we'll just go to the first agenda item. So Joe, this is yours, configuring the repo to Docker base image.
Yeah, I wish UV was here, but evidently he's on an airplane somewhere between here and in India. But so I opened an issue or tagged onto an issue that had been opened previously about configuring the base image that's used in repo to Docker. And I think there's kind of 2 main motivating reasons here. In the Pangeo project, we have really large images that repo to Docker builds, and it can take a really long time to build those. So we end up with images that are like, 5 to 10 gigabytes at times, which pulling those around just takes a long time and it's a fairly big burden on your scaling. So that's one thing. The second thing is we maintain, like I mentioned in my intro, a set of Jupyter hubs and a BinderHub that we would like to be able to share a environment between the two. So you have one image that you develop some code with in your Jupyter hub, and you want to share that exact image over in your on a binder. So we've been just kind of thinking about how to do that. You can do some of those things right now with a pure Docker file approach, but it's still a little bit tricky at times. And so we've been kind of looking into what would be the right way to do it. So there's been some good discussion. And before I started a prototype, UV did a full prototype. So he has, I think there's some links in the GitHub issue here where UV kind of put together an example using the Docker file on build directive, which is something I hadn't used before. And it's pretty cool. I think it gets us from what I can tell, it gets us 75% of the way there. But there's some limiting things that come from this approach. But it's still really cool. And I think we should go down this path for a while and see if it works. But interested in what people if people have looked at that and what they think about it beyond what has happened in that GitHub issue in terms of conversation. And I don't think I missed anything here, but I know, Tim, you've chimed in here a few times, so feel free to jump in.
Are you done?
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, the first thing I think is super nice is that issue has been going for quite a long time.
Yep.
And we've discussed backwards and forwards, and nobody has yet lost their patience. I think that's great. And now it seems like most people agree on something, and we should go and build it. So it's super nice to see that we can take time and come up with a solution. One question I have is, can you actually these days use a straight up built by repo to Docker image in a Jupyterhub? So at some point that worked, and I think then at some point it didn't work. And so now I'm wondering, is that even possible?
Yeah, it is. We do it all the time.
Okay.
So we do it. There's multiple ways we do it right now. I have a repository called Pangeo Stacks, which is kind of like Docker, the Jupyter Docker stacks, but it uses repo to Docker and pushes directly to Docker Hub, and then we can use those issues in a Jupyter Hub right off the shelf. So that's one way. The second way is UV's Hubploy now uses repo to Docker for continuous deployment of these things. So it pushes to a Docker registry and it works. So I'm fairly confident whatever was previously not working.
Okay.
I think the only thing was in the beginning, repo to Docker included the Jupyterhub package in the base environment, and then we stopped doing that. So you have to, I think you have to explicitly include Jupyterhub. But that's right. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Any image with Jupyterhub installed and on path will work with Jupyterhub.
Okay. And then to summarize, or my summary of the issue and what somebody's going to build now is that we will have different build packs. So repo to Docker has lots of different build packs, and one build pack looks for certain special files it can find in your repo, and then it says, oh yeah, I'll build this repo. So we will make it possible for you to add build packs in Python via Python packages without having to extend repo to Docker. And then your build pack can use whatever base image it wants. And the one of the prototypes UV build even lets you choose, as part of the special file that the build pack recognizes, you can choose between a limited set of base images already. So I think that's what we will build. Awesome. And this means one thing it doesn't let you do necessarily, or needs a little bit of careful work, is you can't combine like the R build pack with the Pangeo special base image build pack with, I don't know, something else. That's going to, I think it's potentially possible, but it will have to be done on purpose by the person who builds the new build pack. They will need to think about this so that we know this will actually work when users use it. So yeah. Yeah,
that was the 25% I left out in my, what it looks like we have is 75% of what we want. So we already have, the challenge is we already have a few people that are doing multiple build packs in a single build. It's not a core functionality of what we're using, but it is something that we've seen happen. So something to think about. It's not a deal breaker, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just trying to summarize what I think the summary is. So yeah, if you want to learn about entry points or repo to Docker build packs, we could do with a hand.
Yeah, I think I might have someone that will want to develop this feature some. So if not me, someone that's probably better than me. So yeah, but I'm excited. This will be really, it will speed up the builds on some of our stuff dramatically.
So yeah,
95% of our environments are the exact same every time. Cool. That's all I had, unless there's other conversation.
So to follow to what Min just said, because yeah, I think we used to have Jupyterhub the client package in it. Does it matter for the version of the Jupyterhub that's to be installed in the client? Because it used to be there can be like incompatible version of that, seeing errors on that.
Yeah, they're compatibility windows for what versions of Jupyterhub need to be on both sides.
Yeah, so that needs to be part of the STU pack if this is intended to work with Hub, right?
Wherever you're building, you need to make sure that you're getting the right Jupyterhub version, yeah.
Okay. Any more thoughts on that?
No, I think once Yuvi's back, I'm sure we'll iterate a little bit more when we can talk with him in person. He just totally scooped me on this whole thing. I was gonna try to prototype something, and then I woke up one morning and he's like, I did like 3 different prototypes last night. So it's great. I love getting scooped by Yuvi.
You can always get, those PRs into repo to Docker before him while he's on the plane.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen tonight. Great. Cool. Yeah, we can be all done with this one.
Cool. All right, so the next point, I don't know, but this procedure around assigning subdomains, I'm assuming Tim on mybinder.org.
Yeah, so we talked about assigning subdomains, so blah, blah, blah.mybinder.org to other public binder hubs. And it seems like in the issue, we've reached enough consensus. There's even, I think, the document has been merged on how we will do this. And so if you go and look on that issue, you will find the link to the document. The short summary of it is we would like to be able to have other people run public binder hubs, which are not specialized. So they are like mybinder.org, but operated by somebody else. And then we need to somehow send people there. And one good way of doing that is to assign subdomains of mybinder.org to these clusters. And so, yeah, we've decided we will do this. One of the first ones will probably be a cluster operated by OVH. So they're a cloud provider in Europe. And next step after we figure all this out is to maybe build a redirector. So if you visit mybinder.org, it will actually redirect you to one of the hopefully many public clusters. So that's where we're kind of going. And that's it. So if you want to operate a public binder hub, which is like mybinder.org in terms of resources and like lack of specialization, we can help you. Oh, well, we can't help you, but we can send you traffic if you want to.
You can help us spend our money. It's great.
Or help you spend other people's money. That's also possible.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. How firm are you on the lack of specializations? So what does that mean to you?
So I think, for example, the Pangeo one, we'd have to figure out whether that qualifies. I think lack of specialization mostly means no repos are treated specially. So you get at least as much resources for every repo in the world as you do on mybinder.org. I don't know. I don't think we say anything if we're okay with you giving more resources to some, and it should not require you to log in. It should all these kinds of things. And then not specialization is, yeah, if it comes with GPUs pre-enabled or something like that, or comes with like like other weird stuff. I think that's the main. It should be, I don't know, equal opportunity, like mybinder.org. Yeah, and I don't know if Pangeo would or would not qualify. We should think about that. If that's like where you want to go.
I mean, who knows? Our sustainability plan is far shorter than mybinder.org's at this point. So a year from now, it could be gone. But yeah, the Pangeo binder does everything mybinder does and just a couple more little bits. But you can do all the same things. So anyways, go on.
Okay, and then the last thing on the agenda so far is just feedback wanted on PrimeHub.
Hello. So there has been a couple of issues in the in D2S repo about integration with Keycloak and for D2JS, and that's actually what our product called PrimeHub does. And so we've been slowly extracting the bits that's common and then open source it. And so we now have a meta chart that installs both D2JS and Keycloak in one go. And it has a bootstrap sequence to configure the client secret and so on correctly. So you will have a working hub and a Keycloak that you can log in with admin to configure federation and like external authentication. And so other things that I think only team has seen that is that we also have in the enterprise edition, we have the group management and resource quota management that will slowly port over to an open source version. And what we want feedback is that it's actually useful. And what about the licensing? Are people happy with the license we put out, or is there anything that we should like take special notice and not to do silly stuff?
By license, do you mean the Apache 2.0 license?
Yeah, so because it is a chart mostly, and so when people install it, it's not just the software we provided, which is under Apache. So we should probably also say this depends on a chart dependency that's from Keycloak, which is Apache, I think, as well, and D2JS, which is Project Jupyter, that's dual license. And is that enough for what we're supposed to do when we have a derived project on D2JS?
It seems reasonable to me from a license standpoint. It's
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
permissive.
And you know, in your licensing thing, in your README, you mention, or at least the last time I looked, you mentioned the different projects and what license they're under.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they all look reasonable to me. I feel like Jupyter is licensed pretty permissively. So I feel like the main concern would be if you want downstream people to use your tool, and if they're like a company, they might take issue if it was less restrictive, but it seems pretty reasonable in terms of, it's like a pretty permissive license. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
What do you think about adding or making either PrimeHub or a derived chart from PrimeHub that also includes discourse? You know what discourse is?
Oh, you mean the discussion forum? You mean mentioned in the, yeah, I was hoping to get like the basic feedback about licensing and the stuff. And then when we have more documentation, which is probably this week, we will ask for more like a wider circle feedback and yeah.
But so I guess my question is, do you see that as being in scope of PrimeHub? Adding like the discourse chart so that's deployed at the same time, or is it out of scope?
Currently, I think it's out of scope. But from where we discussed about build pack, I think this is potentially within scope that we have a build pipeline that's integrated with, because when people want to customize images through maybe not just their profile list, yeah, but this course is probably out of the current scope. Any reason you think that's useful to include?
Because then you'd have a way to discuss the stuff you're doing in the hub with the other people who are using the hub, and you could integrate it with the same, you'd have one account that logs you into all of them. I think that would be quite cool. And then God knows, there's maybe some extensions to Discourse that render notebooks or let you, make a link that directly launches. Like, that's where I was thinking.
Okay, got it. Yeah, sounds interesting. Yeah, another deployment we had with client is integrating GitLab. That is also with the key cloak included, and also Mattermost for people to chat.
Where is Infuse AI based out of?
So most of us are in Taiwan, and but we are sort of like a distributed company. We don't have a office, but we are trying to hire people in other places too.
And is it primarily focused around building this kind of hosted hub infrastructure, like custom deployment?
Yes, that's right. So we have clients like banks and research institutes where they don't have the IT capacity to sort of maintain such infrastructure. Yeah.
Cool.
Anybody have anything else they want to ask or add to the agenda? Otherwise, we're going to wrap up early.
Great. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, hi, Chris.
So maybe before we all go, I think it's good that we alternate the meetings every month between Asia compatible and California compatible. The question is this time a good one for the Asia compatible version? Like, should it be later? Should it be earlier? Does anybody have an opinion?
Considering I just rolled out of bed. It's 7 a.m. in the UK, but yeah.
I think it's probably not possible to, I think it might be you alternate between Asia compatible and Europe together, and then Europe and the States, because no one on the East Coast can make these. Now, we don't really have one on our team on the East Coast, but this is 2 in the morning on the East Coast, or 2:30 in the morning. So you won't get anyone there. And then for us, it's pushing pretty late for the West Coast. But so it might be worth not trying to get everybody in on one meeting and then alternating, or even considering making the frequency of these meetings increase and then just have alternate, have that alternate if we really want to avoid, some subgroups being out every other month. But I really like the idea of alternating though, so that we can make sure that we really do have a global opportunity to make these meetings. But it might be worth not trying to fit everybody in. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
And that's part of why I was asking, because if we explicitly decide that if you're in the US, it's basically impossible for you to attend this, and we make it a feature, then we could say start in 25 minutes instead of having started 35 minutes ago. That would make it more civilized for people in the UK. But then I wonder, so in Taiwan, would it already make it too late? Or so that's where I was thinking, what I was thinking about.
The other hour is usually midnight or 1 o'clock, depending on daylight saving, because it's based on, well, not UTC, right? So that is sort of too late. But for this time, this hour, getting it earlier or later doesn't really matter. It's like middle of the day, so.
So it sounds like if it was, say, 1 or 2 hours later, we basically said people in the States are going to be asleep, and that's fine. There will be another time for them. But that way, for people in the UK, people in Europe, it's not like I just woke up and haven't had my cup of coffee yet kind of meeting. Then it would be a little bit better for those two groups. Does that make sense? I mean, I can say that from my perspective, that's fine with me. I would also be happy to not have to attend a meeting at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm happy with whatever.
Yeah, I was already not expecting. I was already interpreting 11 p.m. as not expecting U.S. participants. So I wouldn't have come.
I guess the problem 11 is just
if an hour too later would help.
Yeah, if it would help me like psychologically just say I'm not going to come, that'd be good. Because if it's at 11, it's like right on the edge, and I feel like I could technically
be
come.
on the edge.
I'm just going to be really loopy and tired every time I attend this meeting.
Seconded. Is increasing the frequency and trying to do 2 meetings a month, is that just too much on, are we going to basically get really sparse attendance? Because like people, I also shouldn't expect people in Europe to go to 2 meetings a month. Should we just keep it alternating every other month?
I would leave it alternating for now and see if we can find an example of meetings which are run basically twice and how they organize it so that it's not 2 separate universes, but actually, I don't know, one common agenda, or I have no idea how people do this. So,
I mean, I can say that I would be fine just, waking up in the morning. I know when the meeting's going to happen. So I'm fine waking up and then just giving like a close review to the agenda. And as long as the notes are good and as long as we have places for asynchronous conversation, following up there it seems like that's a reasonable attempt that we can give a shot at and revisit it later if it doesn't seem to be working out.
Yeah, I think as much as possible, minimizing the fraction of things that happen in asynchronous communication is the best for a distributed team. So not more meetings.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, that's good.
You can distill that point from like most of the things that I say in meetings is not more meetings.
Cool. Well, why don't we, maybe I'll summarize when I wake up tomorrow morning on the issue opened for alternating meeting times, and just summarize that we'll continue once a month alternating, and then we can converge on a good time for the new meeting time. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop the call if everybody, or stop the recording, and then we'll be good to go.
Cool. Thanks for leading the meeting, Zach.